Good afternoon. This is the Public Works and Finance Committee meeting of the Moscow City Council. To my left, right mid-drink, I'd make a good waitress, is Maureen Laughlin. To my right is Haley Lewis. To our far left is our City Supervisor, Bill Belknap. First item on our agenda today is the approval of the Public Works Finance Committee January 10 meeting minutes. Did you guys have a chance to take a look at those?
Yes, I did.
Well, great. No
Great.
concern.
Okay, approved. Next is our disbursement report for January 22. Sarah Banks.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Looking at the accounts payable report for month ending January 31st, 2020, total expenditures came to $2,792,893.89. Payroll was our largest expenditure at $1,168,451. There's a few other expenditures I'd like to point out. We had a payment for contractors payment for Moscow PD in the amount of $63,924.46. Our state insurance fund payment for our Idaho workers' comp was $142,526. Whitcomb services, our quarterly payment, which was January through March, for $174,585. And then we had a payment for the asbestos cell closure out at LSI in the amount of $155,031.50.
I'd like to ask a couple questions.
Sure,
This
certainly.
seems like the right place to do it. So some of it's just for my own understanding. So is CETA also a quarterly payment? Do we do month or is it monthly for our membership? Because I'm looking under the contractual payments and just trying to get my head around.
Might be a annual.
It's-
I
That
thought it
one's
was an
annual. CETA's
payment.
annual. Okay.
Yeah.
And then my guess is this payment back to City of Pullman is the re-shifting of funds for the runway realignment. Are we still paying back City of Pullman through that mechanism? Is that what the 15 is?
That's our annual payment for the maintenance and stuff over at the airport.
Okay.
So that's outside of
Port
that.
piece. Okay.
Yeah, we made the last payment on that.
On the runway.
Yeah,
Okay,
we've
cool.
already made that.
Already.
And then University Collision, are we just contracting with them for regular maintenance and stuff for our fleet? Is that what we end up doing with?
That actually
University
would be a question for fleet themselves
Right.
on how often we use them. And it usually is if a collision comes up, if they're the ones who are chosen to repair it, then they
Right on.
would be.
Preferred provider. Cool. Yeah, this is really, this helps me understand where those big numbers come from. So I really like this readout version.
Okay.
I did have a question about that payment to MPD for the contracting for the
Contract,
MPD. Is that, we getting up to the end?
So that was the 19th pay request. We still have retainage because there are still a few items yet to be completed. We've got some landscape touch up. There's a few things that are going to have to wait till the spring to get completed. So we're down to just retainage and then a small percentage beyond that. I don't have the total off the top of my head, but we're getting to the end.
Couple more payment kind of things.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Maureen, do you have any questions? Are you
Nope,
good?
I think that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, you're great.
Electronically,
Electronically
you guys are
signing.
good for electronic signature on
All
that?
right.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
super.
you.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is Anderson, 7th edition development agreement, Todd Drage.
Yeah,
good job. Thank you. I practiced.
All right, thank you.
Proving we're educable.
Hi, Todd, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good.
Okay, I'm here to present the development agreement for the Anderson Edition, the seventh edition subdivision.
Why is this 7 down?
Helps to turn it on, I got it.
It's just a fancy font. The 4 is down lower too on the 15 is down.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
It's very stylish.
This is sleek.
Thank you for keeping me.
Just got big buttons.
Yeah, this is nice. I can figure this one out. Okay, quick on the location. Subject property is found north of Palouse River Drive, west of US 95. The western extents essentially border Anderson Frontier Park. Mike's going to give more on the plat specifics and some of the background in his final plat presentation, but I thought for context it would help to just show the background a little bit. The subject property is approximately 10 acres. It was platted in 1994 as Anderson First Edition as 2 separate lots. Lot 25, Block 4 in the northwest, and Block 5, all of Block 5 in the southeast. Earlier this year, or excuse me, in 2021, request for subdivision for 18 lots was submitted, along with a lot for stormwater detention. Here's the figure showing the subdivision with 7 lots proposed on the south side of Sunnyside Avenue, along with the stormwater detention pond in the southwest corner, and the other 11 lots on the north side of Sunnyside, wrapping around Ben Giffen Court cul-de-sac. Figure also shows a high-level view of the subdivision improvements with frontage improvements along each of the streets, including the undeveloped portion of Palouse River Drive. And a little background, council approved the preliminary plat in June of 2021. The development agreement for the subdivision contains the city's standard language, probably most importantly, spelling out the requirement to complete all public improvements prior to issuing building permits for individual lots, and the need for a security warranty period of 1 year. No modifications were made to the standard agreement language. The 2 additional specific sections, phasing and parkland dedication, no phasing was requested, and no parkland dedication is being required as it was satisfied in previous additions.
I got a rookie question. What does what would the phasing mean as if there were?
It would be if you have a large subdivision, they're required to do all the improvements of the subdivision, all the roads, utilities, prior to being able to sell lots
Gotcha.
and build a permit or get a building permit. And so they're able to do it in phases rather than having to front all those costs. And so as this is 18 lots, there wasn't a request.
Ruby,
for that.
thank you.
And so staff recommends approval of development agreement. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Can we go back to the map with the new?
Sure.
And so I think this. I'm trying to remember because I know it came up recently with the access to Anderson Park. That's already been established, right? With the.
That's to the west of this. And then there's a pathway that comes off the cul-de-sac that provides pedestrian access to the park to the
Okay,
west.
Ruby, orienting myself. Love
Yeah,
it.
the park is literally on the northwest
On the-
corner here.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful.
Is that all your questions?
Yes,
Okay,
I have no
Maureen?
questions.
Okay. Did you say there was a name to the court? There was you said a lot of words when you were talking about
Ben Gifford Court is the name of that.
Ben Gifford Court,
Is
The,
that
the
Gifford Court?
proposed name of that.
the roundabout around.
Yeah,
the sort of
exactly.
drive thing there. Okay.
So this is the sunny side that was created in the original plat.
Okay.
And then the new court is Ben Gifford Court.
Okay. All right. So committee, what do you think? Recommend approval?
I would
like to
definitely.
recommend approval.
Okay. And we can do consent on that?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that then, please. Okay. Hey, why don't you stay up here? We
Yep,
have another
sure.
one. Our next item is the Anderson 7th edition monumentation agreement.
Okay, again, this is the monumentation agreement for Anderson 7th. This is the city's standard language specifying the requirement to install all interior property pins for a subdivision, but allowing the deferral until the completion of construction, as long as the work is done by a professional land surveyor. Security is in place for the city to use in the event the developer is unable to carry out that obligation, and the requirement that the interior pins are set within a year of the plat. Again, this is the city's standard agreement, which is basically the specifics of the addition updated. And so we recommend approval of the agreement, and I can stand for any questions you have.
I would like to recommend approval.
You as well?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. And consent with that as well. Okay. Good job, sir. Thank you. Okay, our next item, and we're blowing through these. This is our 5th one. Anderson 7th edition final plat. Mike Ray. Hi.
Counselors, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So this is the final plat request for Anderson 7th edition. The applicant is Jim Swift on the project, and Todd's gone over the development agreement, monumentation agreement, so I'll just go over the final plat briefly, just to provide a little bit of background. It's a 5.88 acre property bisected by Sunnyside Avenue. There was a subdivision plat last year to create 18 lots with an average lot size of 12,971 square feet. And that occurred June 21st, where the council reviewed that and approved Anderson 7th edition with 3 conditions, and I'll just run through those. So lot 7, block 5 should be converted to a flag lot with the flagpole portion providing direct access to Sunnyside Avenue with no vehicular access permitted on Palouse River Drive. And that was just in regards to the minor arterial status of Palouse River Drive. We try to limit the number of access points. So they're required to put a flagpole access to Sunnyside Avenue in order to accommodate that and restrict access on Palouse River Drive. And then reiterating that frontage improvements are required on the north side of Palouse River Drive. So currently, just, I believe, curbing. There's no sidewalk or tree lawn, and the roadway needs a little bit of widening there in order to achieve the 34-foot width standard for a minor arterial. And then a pedestrian pathway connecting, at the time, it was originally referred to as Cloudy Court. As Todd just mentioned, Ben Gifford Court, I believe, is the new proposal. And that's to connect the cul-de-sac with Anderson Frontier Park to the west, and that should be increased to 10 feet in width. And then January 5th of this year, the applicant submitted the final subdivision plat to be reviewed by P&Z and City Council. P&Z has reviewed that, recommended approval, and now it's advancing on to council. And this is the property highlighted in red, center of your screen there, bisected by Sunnyside Avenue. Prospect Place subdivision, originally part of a portion of this property, is there to the west. Via private streets here, Palouse River Drive to the south, Martin Wellness Center here to the east. Primarily residential development in the north. That's usually single-family residential properties within that area, Anderson Frontier Edition. And then to the south side, we have ITD's service yard here, as well as various manufactured home parks on the south side as well. And then, of course, Anderson Frontier Park here to the west. This brings us to the final plat that was submitted. You can see the 18 lots, 11 to the north, 7 to the south. Todd mentioned the stormwater retention parcel here on the corner. This would be that triangular shaped lot. You can see the flagpole access portion that's been extended to Sunnyside. So that's a change from the preliminary to the final. And you can also see, I think, shows up a little bit better on the construction drawings that Todd just brought up on the screen, but essentially a 10-foot wide path connecting the cul-de-sac to Anderson Frontier Park, which was a requirement of a 1993 rezone for this property. And that's why that's showing up there. So I mentioned P&Z did review this January 26th of this year. They recommended approval to council. Staff's recommendation is for the committee to recommend approval of Anderson 7th edition final plat to the full council. I'd certainly try to answer any questions that you have.
Don't have any?
I'm good.
I think we're good.
Okay.
So again, can we recommend approval? But this has to be,
The city council.
can it be on
It can
consent?
be on consent agenda because final plats are just a perfunctory review of conformance with prior conditions. That's really up to the council. If you'd like to see this go on consent, we can do so. Or if you'd prefer to see it on regular agenda, we could do that as well.
I just got I got confused by the sign that said it has to be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council, which just made me think, do we really have to take it to City Council? But if we don't,
But
We
on
don't have
on
to
consent, the
discuss it.
council does approve it
Yeah.
when they pass the
Okay.
consent agenda.
agree.
It's just a matter whether you would view benefit in having it discussed at the
No, I
council
think it's
level or
good.
whether it can go on
I think
consent.
it's good on consent. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mike. I
Great, thank you.
appreciate it.
thanks, Mike.
And traditionally, we wouldn't have final plats come to committee because we were taking them straight to council. The goal was to bring it to committee so they could continue
good.
on consent if the council or the committee felt that was appropriate.
Nice.
Okay. Good plan. Okay, the next item is First Step Internet Paradise Pathway Fiber License Agreement. See you. Mr. Belknap,
Thank you.
you are welcome.
So First Step Internet is working with White Pine School District to extend high-speed internet access through a fiber optic cable to, I think, Troy, Deary, and then out beyond to Beauville. For much of the route between Moscow and Troy, they are utilizing the Latah Trail as being the route and essentially installing the cable off the shoulder of the pathway. They approached the city because it transitions from county jurisdiction at the city limits to Alturas Drive, where they need to extend to the north to their office location in the East Side Marketplace to seek permission to install that cable to continue it within city limits to reach their office location. Staff has prepared a non-exclusive grant of license between the city and First Step Internet, allowing them the right to install a 2-inch conduit and associated fiber optic cables and equipment. next to our cabinet location, we actually have a little above ground cabinet location behind the Alturas Park Technology sign.
You have a
They
little
would-
what? Can you tell me that again?
We have an above ground equipment cabinet there
There you go.
located just
I have
behind the Alturas Park entry sign, monument sign there. They'd like to install a similar sized cabinet there and then continue their installation of the fiber optic cable to the east. They'd be responsible for any repairs of any damage that was completed to the pathway during the course of construction. And for compensation, we are getting the right to one strand of fiber along this path to the current and or future city limit boundary to the east if we should have any need for municipal use of access and communications out that area. So that's essentially the benefit the city is receiving for the license agreement. So First Step has reviewed it, found it to be acceptable. So it's before the committee for your review and recommendation.
I have a couple questions. So rookie question, as far as the non-exclusive license agreement factor, I mean, is there any reason, I guess I'm trying to understand at what situation you'd be having a non-exclusive license agreement and an exclusive license agreement. And if I'm stuck in the weeds here, we can pull back, but
So exclusive is
understanding.
if you're going to only grant this right to one and only
to just
party.
these guys.
Correct.
So if
So-
Ziply or somebody else comes along and says,
Correct,
I want to do it.
correct.
Okay,
So we just specified that it was non-exclusive.
great.
That another party may seek the same right or use. And so this is not granting them exclusive rights over the pathway right.
Excellent.
Correct.
And then my second question is, I don't know how much one fiber strand can do for us. And so I'm curious what, if First Step's going to provide the city with one fiber strand, I mean, is that,
What do we get?
what do we get? What does the city
Yeah,
get?
So that's unlimited capacity depending upon the electronics you put on each end of it. So you can run bidirectional traffic on a single strand.
Okay.
By multiplexing and running different wavelengths. And so that is what many people are doing to be more efficient with
Right.
their leasing and what they may pay to lease fiber. That provides us all the bandwidth. I mean, it's really generally limited by the electronics at each end of the strand of fiber. So what it does for us, and the only reason that we were looking for this right is, should we have a lift station, a pump station, or some other city facility, a fire station out in that direction at some point in the future, that would provide us connectivity to that facility. Our
Without us
network.
having to lay it ourselves.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
correct. And it gives the public compensation for the use of the public property. Our network currently ends at Mountain View. So we kind of turn north and go up Mountain View. So there at the Troy Highway in Mountain View, we were at that location. So this would create an opportunity for us if we ever had a destination out that way, that we'd be able to utilize that to provide communications to that facility.
And there's an initial term of 10 years with a second that kind of auto renews.
Correct.
Kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Okay. 20 years ought to be good and long.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so thrilled to see this starting. This just makes me happy. And
Mhm.
my day job hat makes me super happy about this. So, okay. Will this be only, maybe this is not for this spot. Is it school district, White Pine School District access only, or is it for use at the schools with the students? Do we know that?
So I think there's a certain number of strands, and maybe if you'd like to come up and answer questions, I
Please
think
do.
the way it's structured is, first up, is guaranteeing a certain capacity to the school districts, but there's other use I think that could be used for other.
Come on up,
commercial uses.
introduce yourself and tell us where you live.
My name is Brian Renfro.
Hi.
I'm the operation manager for First Step.
Okay.
It's a 48 strand fiber that we're running from the cabinet at Alturas there all the way out. It passes by but won't connect to yet the Troy school.
Okay.
So it goes kind of around Troy and then hits the state highway, goes out through Deary, tees off to the high school there, and then out to Beauville to the elementary school.
So why does it not go to Troy? I mean, so the interesting question is that you go to Deary and you go to Beauville, but it doesn't
So it
go off to the
um,
Troy?
so the purpose of this, it was a grant that the White Pine School District got.
Oh,
So
okay,
the
there you go.
purpose of running this fiber is to give service to the Deary High School and then make a connection for them, for their network between the Beauville school and
That's awesome.
the Deary school.
Okay.
So that's what the job that we were approached with. So what we have done is we have allocated our own money beyond that to, since you're pulling, one cable through the ground, you might as well make it 48 strands versus,
Mhm.
we're giving the school district 6 of those 48 will be for the school. And so they can do whatever they would like with it.
Okay.
So beyond that, we've put up money to get a bigger fiber and do more splicing, so that we can utilize it to get higher bandwidth to Troy, to Deary, to Bowville, to get faster speeds for our customers and more reliable service. So
So it wasn't intentional snub of Troy. It just straight up is the scope
Correct.
of
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
and and we didn't go, we went around so that we could pick up, because the schools are what is driving this, getting better, faster, more reliable speed to the schools. And so that's why we come into Troy, and if you're familiar with Troy, there's the tennis courts and
Yes, right
everything and
there.
the reader board.
Mhm.
We'll take a left there and we go up right
that
in
hill.
front of the school.
Nice.
And then I forget the name of the other road, but there's another road that then jogs around the back of Troy and then back to the state highway.
so if and when Troy is ready, it won't be a heavy lift for them
Correct.
to tap in.
Exactly.
Cool.
And we're looking at, even on our dime right off the bat, just while the guys are there, running a fiber up to the school, because we know they're going to want and or need service in the near future. And so we already have the guys there. So it'll be less
says it's not a-
expensive for everybody, because
Right.
it's, the state money that's paying for this in the beginning. So you got the big build, but now, for the state money to pay for Troy, it's going to be minimal, thousands of dollars versus, millions of dollars to get the service to the school. And then we'll also use those up at the water tank on Troy. We just built a new tower last summer. And so we will then branch off of that later on in Troy, in Deary, and in Bowville to provide the faster service for us. But right now, we kind of have a deadline of by basically this next school year where we need to get it done.
Yeah.
The initial job is the service for the school. And then beyond that, we can take it and move forward with our own, fiber backbone off of that.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I have a question, and that is, once you all lay the line and you all have the contract with the schools,
Mhm.
is there any reason, I mean, it says non-exclusive, but is there any, why would somebody else even go out there? I mean, don't you basically now you provide the services, and why would anybody else go out there?
So, with part of the agreement with the county running along the trail, we have reached out to Ziply, TDS, Spectrum, and a few other internet providers, and they have all been given the opportunity to partner with us on this project, because the guys are already going to be there, the equipment's already going
right.
to be there, and you could
Yeah.
pull, 4 conduits in for a fraction of the, cost of normal. Whether they're pulling 1 or 4, it doesn't really make much of a difference. So I actually have tomorrow a meeting with some TDS people. They're very serious about wanting to partner from Moscow to Troy. And I've been in contact with Ziply people as well. I've been working on
Okay.
this for a long time, but
I bet.
we've reached out to them. So they provide services out in that area as well. And so I can't guarantee it, but they've been given the opportunity and have shown interest and may partner with us, to improve their services for everybody as well along this path.
So you're digging once.
This
You're all
is,
digging once, yeah.
yeah.
This is great, something
This
we've
is
needed for a
great.
long time.
And so they also, once, if they want to, they would have to come to you and get their own agreement as well. So even though, like the agreement you're giving us is, non-exclusive or whatever, I don't believe, and maybe I'm wrong, that it doesn't include, giving somebody else permission. I know with the county, and there's 2 private property owners that the trail goes through their property, where we have an easement agreements with them to go through their property. And so that process would still need to be done by those other providers. But, we're not doing anything to stop them from,
Okay.
putting in their services as
Sure.
well.
Sure. Cool. Well.
Looks good to me.
I recommend, wholly
It's
recommend.
fabulous.
Can this go on consent too? I almost want to sing and have some confetti and maybe some lights blinking while you talk about it, because it's that awesome.
So
But
that makes
we
the
could do
question.
consent. I'm okay with that if you guys are. What's our agenda
No,
look
actually,
like?
yeah, how big is the agenda? Because it,
Oh, we've a code amendment. We have an ordinance well, upcoming that the administrative committee will review. We have code update for subcommittees. We'll have probably the ITC sculpture project, and then we will have also the resolution for destruction of records. Those are, I think, the three.
I'm
Let's
kinda
do
tempted to
regular,
keep-
right?
I'd
do
like
regular,
regular.
'cause
Yeah.
Sorry, I
This is
tried to
big
get you
enough.
off the hook, but you're still on it.
Which
I
hook
think
is that?
regular
the
agenda.
hook is coming
You
back
have to
again.
come
You-
back and
Tonight
tell
at
us about
7
it.
p.m.
I was mostly thinking as far as if we put it on the regular agenda, I think it's, and I know Julia's here hanging out, but I think I want to give it the time. I mean,
huge.
I think
The
it
other
would
thing
be
is the
worth
paper-
a broad
The paper may
council
pick it up.
discussion.
The paper may
Mhm.
pick it up and then it becomes more public.
So it means you have to
never
come
picked
back
up
and
the
talk to
consent.
us all
Gives you a
again
little spin.
at the full
Okay.
agenda
I
instead of,
apologize.
have to,
Tuesday
if you'd
night,
like
since
to.
Monday's a holiday, so Tuesday night, 7 p.m. here in council chambers.
222.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
222. You'll probably get some of the same questions from the council members who weren't on this.
Alrighty.
But
It's
I'll
awesome.
be there.
Sorry, I tried.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
This is the least of my worries and work to have to come to a couple of these.
I bet.
Awesome.
thank you, Brian.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay, Mr. Belknap, do we have any staff reports?
None today.
Okay, so unless we have any other questions or anything, we can
No.
adjourn. Okay,
All right.
I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
Okay,
Do you
All
need
in
a second?
favor?
Yeah. Aye.
great, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.